program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning everybody, and welcome to this slightly eerie morning. You can see the clouds scudding over above. This is Safari Live. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
It's supposed to be 18 degrees Celsius, 63 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a violent untruth, everyone. It is probably about 14 degrees Celsius or so, which is about 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, my name is James Henry. On camera today is Willem Dorenbrach. The two of us standing at 5 feet and 8 inches each. Willem slightly taller because of the aerial sticking out of his back, in order to broadcast to you live from the Kruger National Park, where you now see us. We're standing on the western fringes. We're on a little spit of land called Djuma, off to the west of us, Arathusa, and to the east, Cheetah Plains. Also on walk with us today, the inimitable Rexon, who will be protecting us from things that might take displeasure at our presence, and he's also going to hopefully be teaching us various local knowledge about the bush. On the other feeds, if you like, we have Jamie Patterson. She's being filmed by Jean Drey, and then David is filming Taylor. This is my first experience, of course, out in the wilderness with Taylor. So it's good to have you with us. Now, this tree that I'm on is not just simply here for climbing. It has many stories to tell. Just have a look at it. It is a Combretum collinum bush. That is a variable bush willow. And it's been broken many times. I'd say probably at least 50 or 60 times it's been snapped in half. And it's hit me in the face now, which is very unpleasant of it. And if you look at it, where I'm standing now, the base from where I'm standing, I reckon this tree must be pushing a good 150 to 200 years old. It's one of the very few that's managed to get to a stage where the base is any wider than, say, the thickness of my spindly leg. And that's unusual for these Combretum trees, and I wonder if it doesn't have something to do with the fact that this area that we're in now used to be a quarantine area. That's why it's called quarantine clearings, and it used to be fenced off, I think. So I wonder if this tree didn't have some form of advantage from maybe a few years of being without elephant attention. That has changed, of course. You can see it has been destroyed many times indeed. It isn't alone over here, of course. To the right-hand side of where Willem is standing, there is a... what is that? I think it's another Combretum of sorts. It's a red bush willow, I think, maybe. But there's also a jackalberry tree over here. And this jackalberry tree is fruitless, but it's very clever, well, rather stupidly actually, decided to grow next to this Combretum bush, which means that the elephants are eventually going to have a go at it. But what you can see is that they haven't had a go at it. It's obviously not something, the bark that they like from the Combretum trees is obviously not the same in those jackalberries, so hopefully this jackalberry will produce beautiful fruits one day. Please do talk to us over the course of the next 3 hours. Hashtag Safari Live, questions at WildEarthTV if you're on the email. It'll be lovely to hear from you. We are live on the walk as much as they are live on the drives, which means you can talk to us at any stage. This could end badly, not so. Liam says to me, could you just fall as we go live? Right, as I'm getting out of the tree, in case I impale myself, which will not make good live TV for all concerned, let's go across to Jamie and find out what her plans are for the morning.
Good morning, and welcome on the Sunrise Safari. And of course, we are all still riding the high from yesterday's Sunset Safari, where Hansel and Gretel the two missing lion cubs followed some kind of trail, probably not breadcrumbs, and made their way back to the lion pride. I was in the middle of saying goodbye to everyone and thank you for watching and that whole spiel, and I got the message through from Final Control saying quick link over to Brent, and there he was. And I thought the tone of Brent's voice, because of course first thing we did was watch the clip when we got back home that evening, I thought Brent was going to burst into tears, which was unlikely. I mean, it probably is a slight exaggeration, but his voice pitch definitely went up about 2 octaves. Brian came back with this grin from ear to ear last night. It was so amazing. What a fantastic moment to be able to share with them, and the fact that we were there for the reunion is even better. So, of course, as you can imagine, my plan for this morning is to try and see whether or not our lovely Nkuhumas are anywhere around. For viewers that are jumping on board for the very first time, and for whom that makes absolutely no sense, 2 of our lion cubs went missing. They were seen on our 24-hour dam camera on, what was it? Just 3 days ago, or just over 3 days ago. First thing in the morning. And they'd obviously become separated from the pride, because then we found the pride a little bit later, not far. And we sort of thought it's okay, they'll find them relatively quickly. They didn't. And every time we found the lion pride after that, they had 6 cubs instead of 8, and it became a terribly worrying situation. Because it's a dangerous world out there for I mean, we're talking little lion cubs. One of them is about this big. It's a very scary world out there. And somehow they managed to travel probably from the dam to Buffelshoek Dam. It's at least a kilometer that they managed to travel, and reunite with their pride just under 3 days later. Looking from the clip a little bit skinny, but nevertheless totally intact, and very, very relieved to be back with mom and siblings and cousins. You can just imagine how terrified those poor little things must have been. It does make you wonder how often this actually does happen to lion prides with lots of cubs, how often they get separated. But hopefully that's a mistake that our little cubs will not make again in the future. Oh, anyway, so relief all around. Happy, happy news. The lion cubs safe and sound and back with the Nkuhumas. I'm really keeping my fingers crossed, because they were right close to the boundary yesterday, that they haven't decided to cross north. If they have, that's okay. I'm sure the other guides will find them, and they'll be able to fill us in on whether or not they are safe and sound. We will just have to see. So far, no tracks coming in this direction. It's a little bit chilly this morning, after yesterday's 37-degree afternoon, close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. This morning's a lot chillier. There's a nice cool breeze coming through. And what that does mean is that last night it was incredibly windy. It was unbelievably windy. And that means good hunting weather for our Nkuhumas. And they're probably feeling particularly hungry at this point, and I'm sure those cubs could do with a nice big meal. So perhaps that's what they were up to last night. See how fresh these lion tracks are. Not very fresh at all. I'll show you what I mean. Just a quick glimpse at them. They have largely been driven over, and they've basically become so obscured that they're just sort of holes in the sand. Barely noticeable. Okay, so that's not the lion tracks that we're going to be following. We're going to be looking for something much fresher. While we do, let's go and find out what Taylor's plan is for the morning and where she's going to go.
Good morning everybody, and welcome to a not so sunrise safari this morning. It's a little bit cloudy today, as you can see. Clouds are actually moving quite quickly, which is not too bad. I don't think they're going to stick around for too much. However, I think we are going to have a beautiful hot day a little bit later. So welcome again. My name is Taylor, and we've got David behind the camera this morning, and you won't believe what we found so far. we have picked up on some male lion tracks. So they seem to be going in a bit of an easterly direction. Well, we're gonna follow them a little bit. We had their tracks coming through a drainage line to our left. We're waiting just to see if we can find anything that's popped out. However, it was very windy yesterday, and I'm suspecting that on some of these roads that are not so sandy, we may have lost the tracks. So we're going to keep on keeping on. So just bear with us for a minute, but hopefully we'll be able to find you some male lions, which would be nice. I haven't seen the Birmingham, so I suspect that that's who we may see. So for those of you who have never watched Safari live before, we are live from the African bush. Can you believe it that we can do these miraculous things out here? Oh, no, nothing. It did have a set of tracks that looked like a lion's track. However, it was just a big female hyena who was pretending to be a lion in the wind-blown road. And we have some obstacles up ahead, courtesy of the elephants. They're quite big and a bit thorny, so we'll come and move them a little bit later. And we have another obstacle in the road. Thank you, elephants, for your kindness this morning. Okay. I think David is helping me out this morning as GPS, so I shall also reward him with chocolates or whatever he likes, really. So we'll be doing lots of that. So we're going to just do a very quick loop around here, and we're going to scan nicely just to see if we maybe haven't missed them. Maybe I've walked right past the male lions and they were snoozing. So let's go and have a quick little look. I'm going to take it very easy. I've got their tracks again. Hello, lion tracks. I thought they came to this drainage line. We want to maybe have a look. Hang on, let's find some nice ones. Here we go, those on 2 windblows. Can you see any of those?
Should be able to. Yep.
So we've got some lion tracks, and they don't look too bad. It was exceptionally windy last night. I had to take my wig off. No, I'm just joking. I don't wear a wig. But yeah, let's see if we can get them. There we go. So anybody that's got any questions, remember that you can either hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you're welcome to email us if you prefer emailing at questions@wildearth.tv. I'm still new here, so if you want to get to know me a bit better, please send on some questions. Or if you want to know any more elephant stories, I know there were a few of you that enjoyed the elephant stories. I've got plenty of those. I can pull them all out the hat. So please send us something to chat about while we are trying to find these mysterious lions. And I see their tracks are now on both sides of the roads. Fantastic. I have got a good feeling. I'm trying to be very optimistic. Radio, where have you gone? Where have you gone? So, we've come to another junction. As you can see, and I can see the lion tracks are going to the left. We are going to carry on following them. I'm going to send you off to James and to see how his little walkabout is going. And hopefully, I'll have some cats for you a little bit later.
I'm just checking the wind now, slightly theatrically of course, because the wind I can feel is blowing from my left shoulder, but I'll just give you an idea of how strong it is. You see that, Viam? It's quite strong, isn't it? It's blowing from the southeast because there's a front come in. And what we're doing, the reason for checking the wind now is because there's an elephant just up ahead that we've seen. Rexon is just up ahead trying to see if we can't get a bit of a viewing point. But what one does, of course, when one's tracking elephants and one wants to see how fresh it is, one comes to their dung, and then one must do the following. Of course, a trick that you show children all the time. Right? You take your hand like this, you put the finger in elephant dung like that, and then you lick it. And that will tell you exactly how old the elephant dung is and how far the elephant's gone and in what direction it has gone. Now, of course, that is totally ridiculous, and many of you that are more sharp-eyed would have seen that I didn't in fact put the same finger that I put into the dung into my mouth, and I've done that with many children and they find it astounding that a man would do something like that. This is cold elephant dung. It's very cold. Temperature. This is cold. It's cold, and I think it's cold probably because it's old, and I don't think it was made by the small elephant bull that we saw up here. Now, let's go a little bit closer. As we're moving, I'm just going to show you a little bit. Well, I'm not. The very clever people in the FC are going to show you a little bit about the quarantine area, and you'll see as zooming in from outer space into the quarantine area. And you can see there, that area where you're looking now, we've walked off to the left-hand side, in other words, to the west, and we're now west of that area that you just looked at. That's the left-hand side of your picture that you saw there. Now, there is Rex, and what we're going to do is join up with him. He's just saying to us, come to him. That means he's probably got a view of the elephant, so come and have a look. I'm going to talk a lot more quietly now, and we're just going to walk over and see if we can't get a view. This is not this kind of experience that you have in a vehicle, where you get up close and personal with the elephants, and they kind of go about their business sort of ignoring you. This is just to get a sense of an elephant on foot, to get a sense of your insignificance, I suppose, in the greater scheme of the wilderness, and to touch something primal, because of course to see an elephant on foot can be a tremendously scary thing if you don't understand their behavior. And the idea here is to do what our human ancestors did, and that is to view this elephant without it knowing that we're there, because an elephant, when it sees us on foot, will generally be threatened by us, and we don't want that. We don't want him to feel afraid, and we too don't want to feel afraid ourselves. So the idea is just to get a brief glimpse and just show you and try and give you a sense of what it's like to be an insignificant, physically inferior specimen, because that's what we are out here as humans. We have only our minds for defense. We physically cannot even run away from a squirrel. Now, it's just up here. Not sure if we'll get a view, but half the fun in these things is just trying to sort of stalk up and see if you can't have a view. Paying close attention to which way the wind's blowing, listening to bird alarm calls, because we know that birds will alarm call at us, and that the elephants and various other animals will understand those alarm calls as being sort of fearful of a predator, which of course is what we are. Let's just go a little bit closer to Rex. I'm just going to try and catch up with him. Temptation to scream out when attacked by a Sisyphus tree is strong within, but one cannot if one is stalking an elephant. Let's just look quickly around this next corner, and then we'll go back to Jamie while we see if we can get into a viewing position. Okay, I think we've got a viewing position. Let's quickly have a look here. And like I say, it's not going to be a close-up of the elephant's trunk. It's just going to be a grey shadow moving through the bushes. There he is. He's actually much closer than I thought he was. And what Rexon is doing, you can see he's very cleverly sneaking up behind the termite mound. Now that elephant can't hear us and cannot smell us. If it turns round right now, it might see us, but we'll then just melt away into the bush. All I want to do now is go up to the termite mound to where Rex is, and we'll get a slightly better view. Remember, the idea to do this so that the elephant has no idea that we're there, He will feel threatened by us if he sees us, and we don't want that. He will also feel threatened if he smells us, but he won't smell us because the wind is so strong from him to us. We'll just get one more view here. Come over here, everybody. Be very quiet. Watch where you place your feet. There you are. Hello, Taylor. You're wondering what we would do if the elephant charged. Taylor, the elephant would have to be very upset to charge. If he saw us, he'd probably turn around and lift his ears and face us, at which point we would stand and assess what he was going to do for a few seconds, and then probably just back off. If he were to put in a serious charge, well, the only thing you can do then is to either get into some thick bush and kind of change direction quite quickly, or try and stop him by clapping and making a big noise. But the whole idea here, Taylor, is that we don't ever get into a position like that. And that's why we don't view elephants on foot close like you would in the vehicle, because he would feel inevitably threatened if we did that. So we viewed him. This is why this vegetation for viewing big game on foot. It's so clear that you can see these animals from a long way off. Now we watched him from, we probably saw him at about 100 meters, 1,000. This little sort of ridge area, and we walked across and came towards him. Alright everyone, we're going to leave this elephant to his lovely meal of grey vegetation. Let's head across to Jamie. She's got some more footprints to show you.
And what a lovely way to start off a morning to approach an elephant on foot. On our side, we have some relatively disappointing news, not hugely disappointing, just relatively disappointing news, and that is that I'm currently sitting on our northern boundary. I'm going to hop out and show you what it is I'm looking at. And going north are the tracks of our lions that we've been looking for. We've got a whole set of footprints, including the adults here. This is one of the adults' tracks, making its way to the north, and then next to it are tiny, tiny little footprints of all of the little cubs. I couldn't possibly count how many there are. There's probably 8 that have gone north. We're hoping there are 8 going north. We don't want to go through that whole experience again. Oof, brr, it's relatively chilly. So that's where our lions have gone. They've gone north into Buffelshoek. For newer viewers, a big cat track is always very easy to identify. They've got 3 lobes at the back of the track that make it very, very clear. Lion cub tracks, how do I know that they're lion cub tracks? Well, first of all, there's lots of them with adults. They are roughly the size, at this point, of a female leopard track. But if it was a female leopard, it would just be one set of tracks walking along, and not a whole pile of them wandering along this road. So I'm going to continue on. I'm going to try and check and see that they haven't come back, but it's not looking hopeful at this point. Sometimes every now and again a female leopard will come and walk on top of the lion tracks just to really confuse you. But that doesn't often happen. Now, Brent left me a gift this morning, very kindly. And I'm thrilled. It's a really lovely present to have. And that was a flat tire. And I pumped it in the hope that it was a slow puncture. It's not a slow puncture. It's still okay for now. There's a very, very good chance we are going to end up changing a tire before the morning is out. Luckily for us, we've now got this amazing sort of invention. I don't know if it's called an invention. We've got this amazing cable that now allows us to get off the vehicle. So worst comes to worst, you can watch us change the tire. What has Brent done to this earpiece already? There we go. Wrap a blanket around my legs because I regret my shorts choice. And while we've been tracking the lion cubs, we've got a really nice question from Rebecca in Santa Barbara, and that is whether or not it's possible that predators use tracks to inform their own hunting strategies. And that is a really nice question. So you're sort of thinking along the lines of perhaps following buffalo tracks. trucks to move to where they are, or following, let's say for example, a hyena following along leopard tracks, for example. And our chances are probably not. It's not so much for them about looking at the footprints as it would be following the scent trails. So that's more likely what it would be that they are using to decide where they go. Scent trails, and particularly with the buffalo herd example, they came back. They really actually did come back. Or did they? Sorry. I know that the lionesses, there was a bit of confusion yesterday because the lionesses, there was only one lioness initially with Brent. Those are not as fresh, unfortunately. I got overexcited. I don't think they've come back. I think those are slightly older tracks than the one we were looking at. But yes, just to finish off that question on tracking, the animals will most likely use sounds and scent trails more than they will following footprints in the sand, physically following footprints. Hyena do often follow animals like lions and leopards, and they do that because they know that there's a good chance they might have a chance of scavenging something. Particularly with leopards, they very often trail them. But that will be what they'll do, is they'll actually see that animal and then follow behind at a safe distance. Sorry guys, just listening to the morning updates. Aubrey's found fresh male leopard tracks on the Djuma Dam wall. So if we don't have any luck here, then I'm going to go racing across in that direction to help him look for them. Yeah, unfortunately I don't think our lions have come back onto Djuma. I think they've stayed on Buffelshoek. There is a dam just a little bit, maybe about 100 meters into Buffelshoek here. So there's nice fresh water for them. And as I said, they probably will have been on the hunt as well last night. Okay. One quick check of Buffelshoek Dam just in case, and then we'll move on to go and help Aubrey. Perhaps Tingana has decided to make an appearance. He was on Torchwood yesterday with Tundi. I suppose we should probably go that way. He was on Torchwood with Tundi. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're doing a big loop all the way around the northeastern corner of Djuma and making our way towards Buffelshoek Dam. Unfortunately, Buffelshoek Dam is no longer so much a dam, and indeed not even a mud wallow at this point. But it gives you a perspective as to just how close we are to Buffelshoek boundary itself, the northern part of Djuma. And it is one of the lion's favourite spots. Of course, this was where the Nkuhuma lioness was denning the youngest set of cubs. While we search behind every termite mound and every gully, I know that James is standing on termite mounds and having a look at the different ones. Let's go and see what he's found on this beautiful morning.
We found a siege going on here, and I think that's actually a really quite good description. The termites have made, there's a bit of heat coming out there. The termites are just inside here. I may decide to sacrifice one of my fingers to the termites. But you can see ants here, which are not termites, have sort of attacked here. We don't know what they are trying to get inside and see if they can't catch eggs and sort of take them away. They might also be perhaps sharing the mound. So they're going there into what VM described as their fortress, and they seem to be in retreat at the moment. The termites disappeared back inside. The young soldiers, the brave young soldiers, sent out to protect the mound, and I'll see if I can retrieve one for you now. I think they've all gone in. Now what you can do if you want them out is to blow. Except today, when even blowing doesn't bring them out. So one of the greatest predators of termites, of course, are ants of various species. Hundreds of different kinds of ants that we get out here, and many of them carnivorous, and many of them will come and raid a termite mound like this, and through sheer weight of numbers they will be able to overcome the sort of fairly spindly defensive efforts of the termites. They'll go inside and they'll steal termite larvae and probably also steal termite eggs. And that's when they'll carry it all back to their own little nest and eat it there. Now I read something quite astonishing the other day, and that is that there are some species of ants that can live for up to 29 years. Can you imagine the story an ant of this size had to tell after 29 years of doing the same thing every single day? I suppose just like a human being that does the same thing every single day, working in a factory, for example, unfortunate enough not to work at Wild Earth, where every day is very different. But a 29-year-old ant would be quite something to have a conversation with. Now we're just going to point you over towards that side, where there is a really beautiful picture of the grey clouds scudding golden laced across the sky as the sun peeps up over the eastern side of them. It's all rather gorgeous out here, I must say. Hello Sarah, you want to know if this front is going to bring any rain? Sarah, I think it's highly unlikely. Normally, because weather that we get from the southeast like this is frontal, sometimes brings a bit of drizzle, but it very seldom brings anything meaningful in the way of rain. Normally, if we're going to have a big storm, it'll start gathering on the mountains in the northwest over that way, and then that will dump on us here. And yesterday Brent said that he'd done some research and he had found that there was now a 12% chance of La Niña coming into this area. I went and did some of similar research in the evening because I wasn't really sure about it. I hadn't read anything about it. It would seem that the great deluge predicted is certainly starting to reduce. The chances of it are starting to reduce quite substantially. Possibly in for just a normal rain year, which will be great, but most of that rain will come from over there. It's not going to come from the southeast there. So no, that's just going to bring cool conditions today and some shade and some great relief from the blinding heat we've had of the last few days. Let's go to Taylor and get an update from her. We're going to continue off to the west.
Hello. I don't know if you can see what I've got in front of me. Any of you that would know how ecstatic I am, because I absolutely love elephants, and I'm going to pull off the road and hopefully they are going to walk past us. It's quite a big breeding herd. Actually, wait, let me just see. They may move off the road for us. Yes, that's exactly what they do. Oh, and I'm stalling because I don't know how to drive a Land Rover. Okay, I'm just going to concentrate a little bit so you do not upset the animals. And we're going to try and stealth mode into this lovely breeding herd. And also, I just want to get the sun behind us a little bit, because at the moment, oh my goodness, look at all these little babies. Sorry, at the moment you won't be able to see much. Hello little one, it's okay. It's okay. Let's sit just like this, and then hopefully they're going to just funnel past us, which will be fantastic. Hello little one, you cheeky. Yes, smelling us. What are you doing? Oh, you've got a thorn under your foot. Look at that. You can use your oh no, it's still in there, I'm afraid. It's still going to hurt. Yes, scrape it on the floor. There you can see him scraping his foot. Or actually, I should say, is it a she or is it a boy? It's a little girl. Sorry, I should say she. But she has seemed to have removed the thorn from her foot now, which is great. You can listen. Hear them all communicating with each other. So I've got elephants down and in front to the right of me, but we're really loving these ones right here to the left of the vehicle, and I think they're all actually just going to funnel past us. It seems to be quite a big herd. I think there's probably between 20 or 30 elephants with us. And yesterday morning I was searching for these wonderful elephants, and I could only find 2 boys. So I am happy. And just to give you a very quick update, we tracked those male lions until they crossed off of our traverse, which was very sad because we were hot on the heels. We couldn't have been too far behind them. The tracks were really, really fresh. However, hopefully Jamie gets lucky and maybe picks up on a spotted cat, which will be nice. I haven't seen a leopard for a while, so I'd be looking forward to that. Eating sicklebush. That's not too delicious. Good morning, Dan. So you have asked, why are elephants threatened by people on foot rather than when we are in the vehicle? Well, Dan, it's a fantastic question. I mean, it's actually quite absurd how their behavior changes completely. But this is because we have been interacting in this specific area, in the Sabi Sands of South Africa, for about, say, 40 years of interaction with vehicles and the animals. So they've become fairly used to us. They're habituated in a sense. So we smell and we sound like people in the vehicle. However, we don't behave like the humans they're used to. This area used to be hunted quite a bit before it became a conservation wilderness area, if I may. And they would, obviously people were coming and shooting. So when they see people on foot, they see a predator. And they're obviously not used to this. But I'm pretty sure if you were to walk in an area for 30 years on foot in a closed system, so in a fenced-off system where animals, for instance, are only seeing people on foot and people in the vehicles, then I'm pretty sure they'd become just as relaxed as we are in the vehicles. Not that you'd want to get that close to an elephant, a wild elephant. Remember, these are all wild animals, and that's why we're so well trained in animal behavior, is to be able to tell when the animal is upset with us, or in this case when they are so happy with us that they basically joined us for breakfast, or we joined them for breakfast. So Dan, I hope that answers your question. It just takes lots of time and patience, and it's, like I said, it's taken many years for them to become relaxed like this. You saw that reaction of the little one as we arrived, ears out, smelling us, very curious. So still sort of working out, can I trust you? Should I trust you? Which is quite nice. But this is what we hope to do, is we want to have positive interactions with the animals and leave on a positive note too. So that next time when a vehicle comes bumbling along, they go, oh hey, we like these things. They don't bother us too much. We can still hear them cracking in the distance. There's another big female still coming ahead, but she's behind us. And this lovely golden light is just amazing. Hello, Michael. Sure, you're up nice and early for an 18-year-old. That's good to see. So, you've asked if you had an African elephant and an Asian elephant in the herd together, would they be able to understand each other? I think the answer would be yes. I don't think elephant communication is very different from the different, well, the subspecies of elephants. I think they do the same rumblings, they do the same trumpeting. I've never seen Asian elephants in real life, however, I have seen a few documentaries about them, and yeah, I think that they'd be able to understand each other. You know what, they might just have a different accent, so it'd be like somebody communicating with me from South Africa, and then you'd have somebody coming from Thailand, and there would maybe be a little bit of miscommunication, but in the end, you know, you understand each other. So Michael, I hope that answers your question about communication between the different subspecies of elephants. You can see that little one pulling away at the sickle bush. There isn't really anything for them to eat at the moment. There's lots of sickle bush around here, which is good. They're welcome to munch away and remove all of that. That's actually not a sickle bush. That one is eating an acacia of some sort. Sorry, not a sickle bush. So that one's actually got lucky and munching away on a little bit of greenery and trying to eat the bark, which is proving quite difficult. You can see that he's trying to use his foot as well now. Can you lift it that high? I don't think so. And now they're going behind us. Oh, we've got an elephant. I'm going to reposition because we've got an elephant drawing just behind us. Let me see if I can very quickly angle the vehicle slightly. I'm going to do a 67-point turn. David, I haven't forgotten your question. I'm going to get to you now. I just want to have very quickly park my vehicle like this because look at this one. It's drawing and loosening up the sand. Well, this is what we call an elephant drawing, I suppose. He's actually trying to have a little dust bath. So David wants to know, how do you tell the ages of the different animals, of the different elephants, sorry. It's actually not so bad. In the beginning, when you're first looking at elephants and you don't really have much experience around them, it can be quite confusing. So for a little one, I find it's actually quite easy. So for little elephants, sort of say a really small one still looks a bit pink, a little bit wrinkly. You can sort of, I'd say, look at the trunk. Look at the trunk. That tells you exactly how old they are. If they haven't got a very good use of their trunk, so they're sort of wiggling it around, throwing it around, well then I would suggest that they're probably 6 months or less. If they get to about a year, they start to have a relatively good understanding of their trunk. But there's so many different muscles in their trunk. I've heard different stories of how many muscles. I've heard there's 10,000, I've heard there's 60,000 and all sorts. And I think there are a lot of muscles in their trunk. So from a young elephant's perspective, how well it can use its trunk will determine its age. Then the tusks. The tusks usually start protruding through the folds of skin at about 2 years old. Obviously, every elephant is slightly different. It's all got to do with genetics. So, for instance, if we look at this one over here, this looks like a male that we're looking at. And you can see how his tusks are protruding out. I reckon he's probably between, because he's a boy, maybe he's between 5 and 8 years old. Somewhere around there. I'm just giving a rough estimation. Because once again, genetics plays a big role. Some elephants may be bigger at 6 years old than others, or their tusks may have grown a little bit quickly. But generally, you can just see the tusks just protruding underneath the folds of skin at about 2 years old. Hey, look at us, we've got a fight. Not a real one, of course.
Watch your head.
There's 2 young boys who are slightly younger than the one we were just looking at. He seems to be a little bit taller than these. So I reckon these guys are about 5 years old over here that we're watching now. One is armed with a sword, which is unfair. The other one is now eating. So that one's got tusks and a sword in its mouth, as you can see, in the form of a stick or a branch. And now they've settled down. But this often happens with the elephants when they are young boys. They move away and start pushing each other. So Dara wants to know, does an elephant's eyelashes go grey as they get old? Let's have a look at this there's a beautiful big cow coming towards us. I'm actually just wanting to I don't think she's going to come towards us. I think she's going to cut in and go and feed them. We're going to find an elephant that we can zoom in onto the eyelashes quite nicely. Have we got anybody but an older elephant? Let's see. Maybe she's going to come towards us. So just keep watching. That's it. We're zooming into an older female, and she's got a calf that's suckling just next to her. Can you see any grey eyelashes? I can't. They still look lovely and black to me, so no need for mascara. Oh, sorry.
No, you may have just muted it.
Hello, can you hear me? Yep. Sorry. I'm pushing buttons in my pocket. Apologies everyone. Now we've got a very close look of an elephant and her eyelashes. And Dara, no, I don't think their eyelashes go grey as they get older. It's they seem to stay lovely in dark and black. So no need for tinting, unlike myself. I have to get my eyelashes tinted once a month. Got to try and act a little bit feminine when we're out in the bush. I'm going to reposition quickly because we have a civilian mobile trying to get past us and trying to tackle the elephants. Rightio, I'm going to spend a little bit more time with these elephants, and I think we're going to go over to James. See you later.
Hello everybody. I found quite an interesting artifact here. It is an old elephant tusk, you can see, and in fact I found it the very same elephant tusk on bushwalk before, and then I tossed it, but I've kept it now because we're going to stick it in the tent. We need to gather some new artifacts, and during the winter that is no easy feat. But here it is snapped off, and I suspect it probably snapped off there sometime during the course of... Just listen. I'll talk to you now about the elephant tusk, everybody. There's some impala over there, and they're alarm calling. We heard them alarm calling earlier. They looked spooked. I think they could be alarming at us now, but I don't know that they'd be doing it like that. We're not behaving like predators at all. We think that there might be something around here. Perhaps Shadow the leopard. That's what we were hoping to kind of bump into as we came down here. Maybe Sindile, something like that. But they're not happy. Now, normally they would allow us to get a little bit closer than they have now, and they normally wouldn't alarm call at people. They don't do that a lot, but they look very spooked. Now, they could be very spooked for two reasons. One, they've seen a predator. Two, it could just be that it's windy, and so they're nervous when they see us walk through the bush here. It might just be that. But I think they've seen something earlier, because they certainly alarm called before we saw them. Right, so Rex is just over there. He's going to see what he can find. I'll just quickly finish the story of the elephant tusk. You've seen them using their elephant tusks. Really, really impressive way that they use them to break off branches and things. But sometimes they break, and I'm sure that's due to some kind of nutritional deficiency. Jamie has now got one of the scruffiest but most impressive birds of the Lowveld.
They are incredibly impressive, also a little bit scruffy. A Crested Barbet picking frantically away at what I can only imagine would be termites, although I can't see anything. But he's been very, very, very busy, plucking away since the moment that we stopped. And they are such incredibly striking birds with the bright yellow and the black and the white. And then if you look really, really carefully, the reds, streaks of red around the face and the chest and underneath the tail. Absolutely beautiful birds. Very, very busy. There must be something exciting there. I couldn't begin to imagine what it is. Barbets have quite a versatile diet. So seeds and insects, bits of fruit. They're not too fussy about what they eat, and their broad bill is actually incredibly powerful. They can use it to make their own holes in trees, their own nesting holes in trees. Rather like a woodpecker. So they are equally capable of constructing something like that. That's just how powerful their bills truly are. You often find them in groups, and there's two here. There's the one that we are looking at, and then there's one slightly off to the left of him, or her. I can't tell. It's impossible to tell. If you look, you got it. Well done. Well done, Jandre. It's very common to see them at least in mated pairs, especially at this time of year. And then you sometimes get them living in cooperative groups. So essentially they are cooperative breeders. Oh my goodness, sorry. I'm distracted by something. Oh, shame, buddy. You came to the wrong neighborhood. Let's try and get you out. Now, Brent, of course, yesterday was incredibly warm, and Brent was eating snap lollies, ice lollies, that we get in South Africa. That brings back memories of being a child. And some poor driver ant has obviously been attracted to the stickiness in it and come to have a drink, and now it's stuck, and I think I'm just going to have to shake him loose. I think it's the only way of dealing with this. A red driver ant. Got quite a nasty bite, sting. I don't want to try to trap him, but I've got to get him out of here. Shame. Let me try and do this. I'm completely distracted by this poor thing's struggles. Let's try and get you out. Do you have a Leatherman on you, Jandre? That's going to be, I think, the best way of doing this without hurting it. Thank you very much. Oh no, microphone, don't do that. The clip's just come loose. It's gone disappearing. Okay, so I think the best way we're going to manage this is to... Oh my goodness. Where are your scissors? Please find your scissors. Sorry, Jandre. Otherwise I'm going to stab it by mistake. Thank you very much. Here we go. Right, I think this is going to be the easiest way of releasing this poor chap. Without squishing him. Careful, no, don't come that way, don't come that way. No, 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 no. Don't do that. Right. Here we go. Come on. Is it not quite big enough? No, not quite big enough just yet. Shame, poor thing. And they're generally nocturnal creatures, the driver ants. You see them at night, attracted to the lights. There we go. Let's set you free. Okay, let's go over to James, see what's happening on foot.
This is what we came to see, everybody. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see it, but just over there is a leopard. Yes. And Viam can see her ears. How cool is this? So, I'm just going to ask them to tell Jamie or Taylor they need to come straight to Impala Plains, the southern Impala Plains on Balanites Road. And this is where they're going to find Shadow, hopefully. And what we will do is stay right here and just see if we can't get a slightly better view. What we don't want to do, though, of course, is frighten her away so that the vehicles don't see her. Where's she gone, Viam?
She's up. You can see her face right down the corner.
I can just see spots, Viam. I'm glad you can see her face. Well done. That's fantastic stuff. Alright, shall we try and stand and we'll see if she won't just let us view her quickly. I just saw her nipping through the bush. She tried to hide from us. It's exactly what spooked those impala. It's so nice when your guesses actually turn into something. What's she doing now? Alright, we'll try and get another view, everybody. I'm just going to ask Kirsty to confirm that she's told Jamie or Taylor about this, and if not, then I'll try and call them in on the radio. Because I think they're both quite far away from this position. Can you still see her, Viam?
Going flat again.
Jamie's 7 minutes away. That basically means she's at the other end of the property. Let's just try and get another view. Rex, what do you think?
I stand here.
Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright. I'm going to go this way and just see if I can't get another view. Wimpy, do you want to follow me, or you got a view there? If you've got a view, stay. Now what we don't want to do here is give her the impression that we're trying to stalk her, which most certainly we are not. And so we just want to walk kind of casually, like we're on a Sunday stroll, and almost pretend that we cannot see her. This is so awesome. I tell you, the feeling when you see a leopard, even though it's a terrible view of them running through the bush, or just walking through the bush, slinking leopard-like, is just so special. This is exactly why I came into this area. I just had a little feeling this morning. I can't see her anymore, can you? I do wonder how many leopards we walk past. We're not far from her now. Probably about, I don't know, 100 feet or so. I'm just going to keep moving here. Now, I suppose many of you would be wondering if there's danger involved in this. I suppose there's an element of it. Were we to corner her, then absolutely there would be danger. But at the moment, because it's open, the greatest danger we face is spooking her and not seeing her again. I can't see her, Vim, can you? No, I can't see her at all. Just going to keep walking this way. We're quite close to the Arathusa boundary as well. And James Richard, you say a cat a day leopard on bushwalk. We don't see that every day. No, we certainly don't, James. I don't think she's moved, but she could easily have. You know how amazingly clever these leopards are at disappearing. No, I can't see her anymore. I think she's skedaddled. She may have just lain down, of course. Let's just keep going round this way and see if we can't get one more view, because it would be a shame, because you know she won't react at all to Taylor in the vehicle or Jamie in the vehicle. She'll be completely relaxed around them, and then you can have a great view of her. And that's the great thing about the bushwalk, or that's one of the whole purposes, is that we'll find an animal like this and call the vehicles in, because of course you're never going to get the same view. It's twice as exciting for me to find them on foot, but you don't get the same view or the same time with them as you would in a car. Yeah, you got a duiker.
Yes.
There's a duiker maybe being stalked. The duiker can see us. This is amazing. That is a skinny duiker. I'm going to watch behind the duiker, just see if I can't see the leopard perhaps stalking. Jamie is now 2 minutes away. You stick on the duiker, VMP. I'll try and see if I can find the leopard. Rex is standing off to the left of us, seeing if the leopard doesn't perhaps pop its head up out of the bushes. You still see that there's the duiker disappearing behind us. Now these leopards are habituated enough, you know. Sometimes, it depends who this is. It might be Shadow. It could be Sindila. I don't know. Did you think it was Shadow? Liam reckons he's pretty sure it was Shadow. And she shouldn't be that nervous of us on foot, you know. So it wouldn't surprise me were she to kind of not worry about us and try and stalk the duiker. But I don't see her. I think I can hear Jamie's vehicle approaching now. Kirsty, both girls are coming into the sighting. Girl power cat a day. Very nice. Right. I can hear the revving of an engine, but I think that's on the other road. So Kirsty, what you need to tell her to do is come to the junction of Impala Road and balanites. And just to the east of that position is where we are in the clearings. I'm going to just do a little bit of a foray through here. This is just amazing. I can't describe the feeling of seeing a leopard like this on foot. Rex is just still standing by where he was, just to see if we don't get another view. I've seen some more impala now. She could, you know what, she could easily have disappeared from here and we wouldn't know about it. Let's go a little bit closer, Vimpy. Now we want to work parallel with the line that she was walking, not straight at her. We don't want to pretend that we're invisible. We don't want to kind of walk silently. We want her to think that we haven't seen her and that we're just walking gently past. Now she was right in these little thickets to the left of us here. And Raisa, as you say, Rexon knows Shadow from when she was a tiny, tiny little cub. That's absolutely right. Now I can see the vehicle. Tell her to stop there, Kirsty, if you don't mind. Right. Basically, directly to her left, she should be able to see, sorry, to her right-hand side, she should see Rexon, and we're just forward and to the right of that. I can see Jamie through there now. If she looks to her right, Kirst, that's exactly, tell her to come into the block from there, to the right. And that's where we had her. Unless she just, yeah. Right, let's head across to Jamie. We'll do one quick tracking foray onto the road around here and see if we can't pick the tracks up. Let's let Jamie come if she can find anything.
We've got a really, really exciting start to our morning. I'm just trying to work out exactly where James is, because there was a lot of conversation happening in one go there when I first came into this particular spot. So we've got two hyenas on the main road on Triple M itself, and then Shadow somewhere here, but I can't work out exactly where James is. I can't see him. Can you, Genre? I think I'm going to go on to Triple M itself. Just see if we can't spot them. The impala were all looking in this direction when we first came in. Let's just go nice and slowly. I think she might have crossed towards Arathusa. Let's just carry on. I'm really, really hoping that it is Shadow. It's been a while since we've seen her. The last time we saw her, she was mating with Tingana. But it might help to solve our mystery. There's the hyena. Where is James? That's what I cannot work out. I don't understand how he's managed to remain so hidden. There are the hyena. They don't look as though they've spotted a leopard. But they might be following behind. Kirsty, can you please ask James if he was north of Balanites Junction Triple M or south? I couldn't hear when he was trying to talk to me. Caging the animals.
Coming.
Standing by. There we go, James on the Game Drive channel.
Jamie, where you first stopped there on Impala Plains, we were just to the south of that position, in the thicket there.
Okay, copy that. Thank you. Was she mobile to the west? Okay, so I'm just chatting to James. Oh, that's not a hyena.
Check the Impala road just to check if she's crossed. She was static at the time.
Vehicles making their way through here. Let's just chat to them out.
Position now.
Triple M Balanites.
She was east of Impala Road.
Okay, copy. That makes more sense. A lot more sense. So, she was east, not west.
Jamie, have just come off Zoe's and now here at Crested Barbet.
Got him, we've got him. Along Impala Road.
Copy. Got your visual. Okay, they've got her. Let's make this nice and slow. Taylor, just stand by where you are for now so we don't crowd her.
Stand by, we're moving up.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. How cool is this? So there's James. We're just waiting for him to move out and away from the sighting, and then we're going to pull in. This is awesome. So what we're doing is we're just waiting so we don't make her feel pressurized in any way. So we don't scare her, because obviously there's people on foot. Now generally our leopards of the Sabi Sands are incredibly used to leopards moving through the, oh sorry, not leopards, people moving through the area. They get tracked on a regular basis, so they're very, very comfortable with people on foot. But what we don't want to add is us as well. We're essentially not making them feel too pressured. Now the reason I've called Taylor in is because my tire is slowly going flat. At some point I am going to have to change it, but I just want to establish the sighting. Well done.
Right there.
Thank you very, very much.
She's just at that termite mound. We got to within 10 meters of her. She was just looking at us.
That is so
But not signal,
cool.
I'm afraid. Go and have a look.
Cool. Thank you very much, guys. There's Rexon. Awesome. You got her. Yeah. Well done, guys. Can you see her from where you are? Slightly higher position. Hello, Shadow. Okay, I can see she's watching the guys moving off. So we're just going to give her a second and then we're going to move forward. How awesome is this? There is nothing like that experience. James is grinning. He is so excited. Absolutely wonderful. Okay. I'm just going to wait for them to get a little bit further away before we start to move in. And then we can go, hello girl. It was incredible. They were standing right where we are here. It's such a fantastic experience. There you go. You can see she's calmed down. Body language is relaxed. Absolutely wonderful. So we've had hyena and now a leopard. Okay. Hello, Shadow. The last time we saw her, she was mating with Tingana, being closely watched by Karula the entire time, who is her mother. And it has led us to some very serious concerns about the safety of her cub. Definitely Shadow. So she has a 6-month-old cub, or had, we're not quite sure. And there's something strange about Shadow's biology, that she seems to go into estrus much earlier than a female leopard with cubs would normally do. What that means is that she has to leave the cub for an extended period of time. Oh, up, having a jolly good scratch, see? She couldn't be less concerned. Look at the back of her neck. You can see where it's been bitten by Tingana. She's actually pulled out a very big patch of fur there. And that is inevitably from the mating process. So the male grabs the back of the female's neck. But yes, it's a process that lasts for about 4 or 5 days, sometimes even longer. And that means she leaves her cub for 4 or 5 days at a time. Now that doesn't mean, we've just seen the incredible experience with those Nkahuma cubs and the fact that they managed to look after themselves for 3 days. And leopard cubs are even more accustomed to that whole process. So the fact that she's disappeared for periods of time doesn't necessarily mean that she has lost her cub. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call Taylor into the sighting, because my tire is gradually going flat. It's okay for now, but it is going to go, and I don't want to get into a position where we can't follow her. Now I'm just waiting for the Game Drive channel to be free. Plus, it also gives Taylor a really nice chance to meet Shadow, who is one of our favorite leopard characters. She's got a foolish belly. Taylor for Jamie. Come along Impala Road to the north from Balanites Junction. Come join me. The stations we've got: one Fuzzy Ingwe, Shadow, slowly mobile east into the block between Impala Road and Zoe's, just north of Balanites. So she's got a full belly, so she has eaten at some point in... Oh, do you think we can do this? Bit of a tight squeeze here. Here we can. That was about as tight a gap as we could get through. There's Shadow moving in front of us. Slowly marking her territory. So this is the boundary, or at least used to be the boundary, of Karula and her daughter Shadow's territory. Yep, she is definitely scent marking. She's spraying her urine on the different trees. You can see that tail twitching side to side. Let's go catch up with her. Where's Taylor? Come, Taylor, quickly! It's going to get harder and harder to direct her into the sighting. Which way are you going to go, Shadow? into the monkey orange. Yes, I think that's exactly what you're going to do. One of the trickier blocks. Well, the reason I said that this might or used to be the westernmost part of Karula's territory, the sort of the boundary that she shares with her daughter, is because Shadow's territory has been changing. What has she smelt there? You gonna give us a phlegm and grimace? Oh, you're gonna do it behind the trees. Is because Shadow's been pushed further and further to the east by a large female leopard called Salaheshe. And Salaheshe is a little bit larger than Shadow. She's been known to steal kill from Shadow, and she's also got a 14-month-old female cub, or 15-month-old now, female cub called Tiani. And essentially what happens with... there we go, here comes Taylor. She's trying to do the same gap I did. She picked something up. What has she got there? What is that? Oh, she must have a kill somewhere here. That's amazing. How amazing is that? She must have caught something and then come to investigate the sound of James moving through the area. Awesome. Where are you going with that, girl? Go and investigate. Taylor's coming through now. So she will have a good view of her in a moment. Interesting. I wonder what on earth she's got. Looks like an organ that she's got there, or potentially an animal fetus that she has. Righty. Taylor, this one's all yours. We're going to send you back over to Taylor's vehicle. She should have a good view. And we will leave Shadow for Taylor to be introduced to.
Hello, hello. So we are looking at Shadow. So this is my first leopard since I've been here. Let's actually, I think we're going to have to head back to the road because that's the direction that she's going. So let's try and find an easier way through. I think we're going to go through over here. We're going to try and keep up with her. So I know you viewers at home don't have to watch your heads, but David and I do. Let's try and just keep up with her. Yeah, she's being sneaky. She's going straight back to the road. So I apologize. I'm going to very quickly just try and maneuver through here and find an okay spot out. This looks like it could be a little gap. We're going to do some... Go through here, over this little Logosaurus. I'm going to have to do a bit of re-maneuvering. How am I your side? David, can I go back a little bit? Okay. I forget how small these vehicles are, and they are so nifty. You can just sort of maneuver on around. David, do you think we'll make it through here? This is good. Everybody suck it in as we go under and through this little tree here. We've got to watch the aerial.
All good.
Here we go. She's on her right. We're going to try and head in here. Verica wants to know, do I have any interesting leopard stories? Yes, I do. I was actually just telling David about one of them. So, I'm going to just talk to you while we're going through here. Because it's not a lot of thorns and stuff, but it's quite thick. It's like a worry forest of some sort. My goodness, she's taking us on an adventure. I think we're going to have to go around. So, I have got plenty of leopard stories. Is she static? No. She's still going. Okay, I think we're going to have to go around and try and get in here. So, pretty much what Shadow does, we had this one female leopard who left her cub at a very young age, and we haven't seen her since, so we're not sure what happened to her. This is in the southern section of the Sabi Sands, of course. And I'm going to have to go over this little pop-up tree, but it's going to bounce back up, I can assure you. These are quarries. They are tough, strong trees. They are magic, so please don't be concerned about me going over those ones. I don't know how we're going to get into here. Let's go through here. We're going to have to go through here, I think. So, anyway, this young male was now off on his own. Should be okay here. A little squeeze. We're going to have to do a bit of strength. Break that little branch. It doesn't break the vehicle. I don't know how we're going to get through here. Okay, let's go around. And I think it's opening up over there. Sorry, we're going to see Shadow again, I promise. And I'm going to tell you my story about the leopard. So, I was watching this young male. He was quite a skittish male to begin with. He settled down nicely after a while. And he saw a little steenbok, which is the smallest antelope that we sort of see in this area, which was quite nice. I thought, how exciting, because he'd been eating tortoises for the last week. So I'm sure he needed something with a little bit more sustenance. And he stalked and stalked and stalked, and he got from about 50 meters, he got right up. And I thought, how exciting. We are going to watch a kill. However, he then got about 2 meters away from it. The steenbok looked at him. He looked at the steenbok. He then rolled over. I don't know why he rolled over. And the steenbok walked away scot-free. Pretty spectacular. Here she is. How's that? Can you get her in there? Okay, we've got a tiny little gap, but she's sitting in this forest. And you see her through all the trees that I just had to maneuver through. It's quite a nice little shady spot. But that's my leopard story, which I couldn't quite understand, was the fact that this male leopard, who he hasn't got a name yet, he's still quite young, just rolled over and didn't catch his dinner, which he'd worked so hard for. And now we've got Shadow. I'm actually going to pick my binoculars up because I want to have a closer look at her. Even though I can see her through the screen, binoculars are amazing. I say this all the time, and I'm going to continue saying how fantastic a pair of binoculars are. I think spending money on a good camera and a good pair of binoculars, and you'll be sorted for an African trip. But she's grooming herself now. I don't know what she ate, but it was something relatively small. Maybe she'd killed something a few days ago and it was a last scrap. Maybe she picked up something like a cane rat or a baby common daker, which would make for a very easy meal. And now she's just going to clean herself, because leopards and lions are fairly clean animals. They spend quite a bit of their day grooming. You can see her just licking away, and always looking over her shoulder. Leopard's not quite as relaxed as the lions can be, constantly looking around. Lions have the upper hand of being the top predators in the bush, that they can just relax a little bit more. But she's got quite a nice little sheltered spot. The wind is starting to gust again. The clouds are clearing, the sun is coming out. So I will sit with her and see what she gets up to. Very happy, very comfortable in there. Breathing heavy, a little bit heavy. So if anybody can tell me how old Shadow is, that'd be fantastic, because I haven't got a clue on how old she is. The only thing I've really heard about this leopard, how she is not the best mother, unfortunately. So if anybody can let me know about how old this beautiful cat is that we're looking at, that would be fantastic. What's she looking at? Few little branches in the way. Sometimes we don't always have the best view. However, it's not too bad. I would still say this is a 5 out of 5 in terms of being able to see from her ears to her nose to the top of her tail. It's actually quite nice. She's just resting for the moment. She could possibly still get up and move once again. I'll see if I can find a better gap, but I think this may be the best spot, actually. She did take us the scenic route round to get here. trying to get comfy. Look at that beautiful face. She's lovely. Oh, so see, she got 4 spots on that side of her face. One, 2, 3, 4. Does anybody also know her spot pattern? I can't see her right side of the face. I can just see the left side, and it's quite interesting. I'm sure you're all aware of how important spot patterns are. Michael, thank you so much. That is so helpful. Michael's just told me that she is 9 years old and she's turning 10 in November. Oh, that's my brother's birthday in November. It's exciting. So she's a well-mature girl. You'd actually think that because she's this age, she'd have good experience with raising cubs. So it's bizarre that she doesn't seem to have a good success rate. And I also must tell you, I was so excited. Just before I left the southwestern corner of the Sabi Sands, I was driving around and I heard that someone had found a leopard quite close to the lodge that I was working at. So I was fantastic. Guess, never been on a safari before. How incredible would it be to have a leopard? So I was very lucky. I was close enough, so I managed to be able to go straight into that sighting. And you wouldn't believe who it was. Sindile. Can you believe it? All the way down in the southwestern corner of the Sabi Sands, literally near the Paul Kruger Gate and from the Kruger National Park. I couldn't believe my eyes. Nobody knew who this leopard was, and they were saying he's got a collar on. Who is he? Everyone's trying, and I felt so impressed with myself because I knew exactly who this leopard was because I'd seen so many photos of him. And I said on the radio very proudly, this is a male leopard by the name of Sindile, and then told the rest of the rangers the story, which was quite nice. So it was very, very exciting to see him down there. I did manage to only get one shot of him. He was, I think he actually takes after his mother, after what she's just dragged us through. He was going through Tamboti thicket, which I'm sure, as you've all seen, if you've been watching the show for a while, is nasty stuff to try and maneuver through. So we managed to find him, and he was perched up on a termite mound though in a Tamboti thicket. So I looked through the gap and I got one snap of him, and he is a beautiful cat. He's going to be a big boy. And so just is Tingana Sindile's father, or can anybody help me? I'm going to have to rely on a lot of the viewers this morning. So if you can please let me know. You can either hashtag Safari Live for Twitter, or you can email us at questions@wildearth.tv, because I really need some help this morning in trying to learn about the different cats of the Sabi Sands. And we are looking at Shadow at the moment, and I was also talking about Sindile. So I'd like to know who Sindile's father is, and who has Shadow been mating with, or who are the resident male leopards in this area. I could always ask the other rangers, but I think it'd be quite nice to hear from some of you viewers who have been watching this show for a very, very, very long time. And I think you could help me out quite a bit. So I'll be waiting patiently for some responses while we patiently watch Shadow, as she seems to be having a siesta at the moment. So I'm going to go into silent mode just for a few moments, just to see if we can enjoy her. And so you have a break from the sound of my voice too. Lucy, thank you for helping me with the spot pattern of this wonderful female leopard. So it is 3-4 for you. For those of you who don't know, it's quite nice to actually make a note. And I'm just looking to see if I can see like any little indicating features. If she's got a scar anywhere, if she's got maybe a notch out of her ear. She's got quite a pink nose for an older girl. So that's quite interesting. You don't always see that. So that's really nice. So thank you so much, Lucy, for that. I'm going to have to make a note of that and put it in my notebook. Ah, there we go. I can see the 3 and then that other little blotch at the back on her left side of the face. Okay, very nice. So there were 4. we've got as you can see, we've got a little bit of an obstructed view. She's looking around quite nicely. We've got a few other people coming to have a look too.